We will be combining days 4 through 8 into one video. While we're in the Great Smoky Mountains, we'll be staying in Gatlinburg and we'll follow this road over to Cades Cove every day. We'll be spending most of our time in Cades Cove driving around it. It's an 11-mile loop and we'll do it many different times. When the Smoky Mountains National Park was formed, this was a community in this valley, and there are several houses still there. The John Oliver Place, the Primitive Baptist Church, the Methodist Church, the Missionary Baptist Church, Elijah Oliver's cabin, in the Cable Mill area there's a house and also a mill for grinding the flour. On around we come to the Dan Lawson place. Next we come to the Tipton place. It's a rather large place with about 7 or 8 buildings on it. And lastly, we come to the Carter Shields cabin. In previous trips, we've looked extensively inside these cabins, and we're not going to do that today. Our purpose for taking this trip is to see wildlife here in Cades Cove. We will leave Gatlinburg and instantly we will be in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. And then it'll be about an hour drive to get over to Cades Cove. For most of our drive, we'll be driving along rivers. First, the Little River. Cades Cove usually opens at sunup and closes at sundown. At the time we're here, it opens about 6:30 in the morning. Sometimes we will leave very early at 5:30 and drive in the dark to get there when it opens. Other times we'll leave a little bit later so we can sleep in and arrive a little later after it's opened. Cades Cove is set in a mountain valley with open fields and forest around it. It probably doesn't have any more wildlife than any other part of the park, but when you're driving through a forest like this, you can't see more than 3 or 4 feet on each side. In Cades Cove, you have the open fields and you can see for a long distance and therefore see more wildlife here. It has several streams that flow throughout the valley, and so there is a lot of water and it is well watered. And you have these stream crossings like this one here, where the road dips low and is concrete to let the water flow over it, but you can drive through it. In the morning there are lots of low-hanging fog, and it creates a really good atmosphere here. But there's also a lot of water coming off of the trees, and so it's always hazy in the Smoky Mountains, and that gives them their name, the Smoky Mountains. We like visiting in the early morning because there's not very much traffic early. But as the day progresses, more and more people get up and come out here, and often it gets to be bumper-to-bumper traffic, especially when there's bears around. And we don't even have to get all the way to the park to start seeing wildlife. Here's a turkey on the side of the road. And here's some more turkeys crossing the road in front of us. This is going to be a compilation of about 20 trips around the 11-mile loop that we did in about 5 days. I'm going to show them to you by species. Notice the black bear here. As we pull up, one of our first bear sightings. First we come to the horses. These are used for riding and also for pulling wagons on various trips that they take through the park. Deborah likes to harass the horses and touch when she can. As I said before, we'll look at the animals by species. First up is the Whitetail Deer, and we'll see many of them. They're usually out in the early morning or late evening, and usually hide during the heat of the day. Many of these, you'll notice, are bucks that are still in velvet, as their horns are just barely growing at this time of the year. Since there's no hunting in the national park, the animals seem to be almost tame. They just totally ignore cars as if we don't exist. Here we have two fawns that are exuberant and running and playing with each other. Next we'll look at the wild turkeys in this area. Since this is the breeding season, we'll see several of the tom turkeys out displaying in the fields for the ladies. We even found one on the side of the road displaying for his girl down in the ditch. Next we saw a coyote. The ranger says they're becoming more common. This is the first one I've ever seen here in the park, and he seems unafraid at all. He's near the visitor center, out in the open field, just walking along. Seems to be a female who must have a litter somewhere because it looks like she's been nursing them. Crows are quite common also around this area. But everybody comes to see the bears. Now this is a stump bear. You see that black? It looks almost like a bear. And then when you zoom in, it's a black stump. We saw a lot of stump bears, and this is a typical bear jam. When you see all these people out and the cars stop, that means there's a bear down there, and Deborah had to go look and see. And here's what they're looking at. A mother and a cub. Again, there are probably not more bears here than anywhere else in the park, but because of the open fields, we can see them much easier here than anywhere else. Sometimes bears are easy to see, like this one. Others are harder. Can you find the bear here? He's in the upper left corner. Sometimes this is all you see of the bear. Black bears are mainly herbivorous, and they do graze on grass just like these are. Several times we saw cubs playing with each other like this in tussles and fights. The bears will sometimes stand on their hind legs to look around and get a better view of what's happening around them. I can see, I'm fine. I just can't get out. My legs won't let me walk. It's okay. Oh, you were fine. I'm working around here. Something has scared these cubs and they're running for the woods. Their mother, however, doesn't seem to be in a huge hurry as they are. They do come back out to see what's going on. And eventually Mom gets in a hurry also. This will give you a perspective of how far out some of these are that I'm photographing with my telephoto lens. You would not be able to see this bear if we were in the forest because it would just be totally invisible to you. That's why you see more bears in Cades Cove. And sometimes they're right along the side of the road, like this one. And here goes one heading across the road. These cubs are actually climbing down from the tree. Mama's called them down. And here's Mama. At the end of day 8, we're heading to Chattanooga, where we'll spend the night. But along the way, we have some problems. We hit a curb, and the tire starts losing air, and we have to stop in a tire shop and get a new tire for our car. In Chattanooga, we'll be staying at the Comfort Inn downtown for a few nights, and this brings us to the end of day 8.